So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 17 Pro Max 10 months later. So I have the cosmic orange color option here for the iPhone 11 or 17 Pro Max, and I'm thinking about the next version, the upcoming Ultra. I'm sure you are as well, but I wanted to go ahead and give you my long-term ownership experience after 10 months. So we did this a few months ago or a couple months ago, but I like to give periodic updates on ownership so far. And I want to talk about first of all, like the durability of the phone itself. Now, I have been having a bit of a busy year, and I've dropped this thing quite a few times, and it's held up pretty well except for a few areas. So right here on the corner, I do have myself a little dent, and I showed this dent before. It hasn't expanded or anything like that. There is another dent somewhere. I'm just not sure where I did it at, but there's some paint that it does get a little bit dirty, but nothing too bad overall. Now, I recently, my screen protector cracked, so I took off the screen protector, and I went pretty naked on this phone for a little while to see what happens with the screen being without a screen protector. And if I go over here and look down, I just realized before this video, I have chipped the display right here. There's actually a chip right there at the bottom, and I'm sure the OCD and the people out there who do get annoyed about this stuff, is probably the bells are ringing right now. For me, it is for sure. And I'm kind of annoyed because I haven't really had this happen on a previous phone, but I have been being pretty busy, keys in the same pocket as the phone, so I'm pretty sure it was the keys that did that, or maybe a small drop, because I've dropped this quite a few times, even from small drops, so it could have been that, but I do think it was keys. So overall, these screens, I still think you should throw a screen protector on them, regardless of how strong they get. That's just proof right there that even a $1,200 iPhone 17 Pro Max with some of the toughest glass on the market still can get chipped, still can get scuffed up and stuff like that. So if you want that flawless screen all year long, and I'm not singling out this phone, and just on your phone in general, you might want to rock a screen protector on that to protect that thing if that irritates you, because you rather crack the screen protector than get like little chips like I got right here, or little cracks or scuffs or scratches. I haven't really had too much issues with scratches, though. They've been pretty good. Now, talking about the actual phone itself, let's talk about some of the specs that I've enjoyed. Now, the 6.9-inch screen is the same one we've pretty much found on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Difference is this has better anti-reflectivity, and it's been a phenomenal screen. I really do enjoy the size of this panel. It does a lot for you on a day-to-day. You can definitely see everything very easily and crispy. I do think I'm ready to see a reduction in that dynamic island up there. It does still stick out quite a bit, but I enjoy the very thin bezels on the panel, and generally I think that the overall screen is just a really, really strong panel. It doesn't have any weird bad like viewing angles or anything of that sort, so it's been pretty enjoyable to use this thing pretty much every day. I will say that I don't love how this screen cannot split screen, though. That does irritate me even 10 months on, and 27 doesn't bring a split screen either, so I'm just gonna have to keep dealing with this one app at a time thing until Apple decides to bring around to the split screen, which I do think eventually will happen. Maybe it'll just happen on the Ultra, and they'll leave that as a feature for the Ultra itself, which I do plan to switch to if it is good enough to make that switch. Now, the actual body and the weight of this phone, has been a little bit slippery. I talked about dropping, but I have been keeping this in a pretty different rotation of cases. So sometimes I'll put in a more rugged case, sometimes a thinner case, but generally it's lived in a case quite a bit, but it's come out quite a few times. And it mostly had a screen protector all year until recently, which caused that chip right there. But you'll see 233 grams. This is not the lightest phone out there, so it still feels hefty even though it's pretty smooth. And that's kind of like the theme of this phone. It's been pretty smooth, like smooth on the software, smooth on the edges. All around, it just feels like a smooth experience with this phone. Now, one of the things that's been irritating me though is I'll swipe in the phone, and then when I come over here, not right now, it doesn't do it. Of course, it doesn't do it when I'm on video, but a lot of the times I'll swipe in and then I swipe over to app library, and there's like this stutter. It like happens almost every time if I haven't been using the phone for a minute. So that's been irritating me just a bit at 10 months. But overall, IP68, it's been a pretty durable experience. One of the best experiences with this phone, though, and one of the reasons why I haven't stopped using it, but I do plan to switch maybe to the 17 Pro a little bit more this month as it's summertime. I've been trying to get around to it. I just really like the smaller form factor when you're out and about doing things. So I might do that. But the battery, we have 166 cycles on this, not a ton. Some people have more. I tend to charge it in between so it doesn't cycle too much. That's why I have like such low cycles compared to some people. But still at 100%, the overall iPhone 17 Pro Max has just really impressed in this area of battery. Now, I have found a couple of apps will drain the battery a bit more, so just kind of monitor this battery section and check your applications to see if they're draining a bit more. And some days you'll have some worse battery, but I found the other day too, just be careful what the auto lock you have on. Like I'll put it on 5 minutes for the video, but if I turn it to 1 minute, if I don't turn it to 1 minute after the video, sometimes you'll have this auto lock on and the screen will be on your pocket draining battery. So be careful of that. That feature does kind of like, if you're trying to keep it on for a bit and then you turn it down, it can drain some battery without you really knowing. But that's been a really, really strong area for this phone. I do expect it to increase even more on 17 Pro Max. But the next area has been the cooling system 10 months later. I have to say, this has got to be the most comfortable smartphone I've ever held in terms of a large phone that does powerful performance in terms of like cooling. Even some of the top tier competing Samsung phones got a little bit warmer than this one. So I do like the thermal efficiency. The trade-off is, I would say some people aren't a fan of the design. You know, you look at it and some people just think, how could you rock a phone that looks like this? Like in terms of the two-tone, like some people don't love this. Some people don't love this big hump right here and think some of the other phones look a little bit sleeker. Personally, I like the design because I like the two-tone look, but some people just can't get down with this design. I do think a lot of people did get down with the color because I've seen a lot of orange iPhones in the public, like a lot more than I've seen other smartphones out there in terms of like newer phones. Like you can definitely tell that person's rocking the 17 Pro Max if you see that phone on the market. So the next one is going to be the camera. So we do have a triple camera setup here, and the cameras on this phone are just absolutely phenomenal. They've been great pretty much the entire ownership experience. The thing is that I haven't really wished for more. I think the zooming could be more compared to the competition, but generally speaking, I've had a great experience here, and I only expect it to get better on the future iPhone. But really, if this phone was an iPhone for like 2 years straight, like if they just kept this one around, I would be pretty happy with this, even without needing an upgrade. Like they could just skip this year in terms of the camera and it would be just fine. They have an ultra wide on the front. They have 24 megapixel on the rear. You can do video up to 4K over here at 60. And I know they don't have 8K, but we don't really need 8K. Nobody really edits and uploads 8K for the most part anyway. You can't even watch 8K video. So you gotta look at it as a whole, and as a whole package. Does social media photography and videography great, and generally it's just an awesome experience. Now, the overall audio quality has also been great. One of the things about this is a lot of phones can get loud, like pretty loud through the overall speakers, but I find that the iPhone 17 Pro Max continues to get it tends to have really good sound even when you're at the highest volume. So that's where it really kind of shines. Also, this phone does give you really good connectivity with Bluetooth 6.0, Wi-Fi 7, and some other phones out there are just now putting some of that in their phones. Not all of them, but some of them are. So that's pretty good. We do have a USB-C 3.2 display port here, so transfer speeds through here are pretty good as well. This hasn't been really much of a complaint on the whole. So this phone right here has just been quite the stunner in terms of an experience. Like it really does hit all the areas that you would really care about in a phone. Now, personally, I found the aluminum to just not feel that premium though. When I hold this phone without a case, it kind of just feels, it doesn't feel like the titanium bills, the stainless steels of the past. So I feel like if they can find a way to keep the thermals efficient, but also get back to the premium feeling edges or overall like just build, that would be really nice to make a return to. As aluminum, Yeah, again, love the functionality, but it just doesn't feel $1,200 phone type feel. Like it feels like they're $700 phones. So I don't love the aluminum overall, and it does dent a little bit easier. But generally, 10 months later, I gotta say that the iPhone 17 Pro Max has been quite a good phone. I will say though that I'm looking forward to like a red or a dark cherry version of a Pro Max phone, and also I'm looking forward to maybe an increased battery life, and because I always like more battery, and also again reduction in dynamic island, or maybe remove it altogether would be amazing. Also, whenever they can get some software in terms of split screen would be cool. But the performance has been great with the Apple A19 Pro chip, 12 gigabytes of RAM. The software has been updated regularly, although 27 does fix a lot of the complaints I have. I've been running the official software on this particular model. I do have 27 on my smaller Pro, so stay tuned. We'll do more 27 type content down the line as official releases. But this phone, yeah, I gotta say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10 over my 10 months. It's been way up there. I can't give it a 10 because I don't think it's perfect. There's a few little issues with it, but on the whole, I think they pretty much snapped with this phone. So I like to see this phone in like a red color. That would be pretty cool, or a dark cherry or something like that. And the improvements I discussed in this video, I think should be made as well. Let me know your experience with the iPhone 17 Pro Max after 10 months. If you're one of the original owners of this phone, how the durability has held up, how your software experience been, how your performance has been, and drop it down below in the comments. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned. We are going to be covering the Z Fold 8 as my pre-order does arrive soon here. I'll catch you on the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.